Everybody that you see as powerful has one thing in common. It's attention. And this is the sixth law of the 48 laws of power by Robert Greene. And it's titled, you should cut attention at all costs. What that means is, if nobody knows about you or nobody knows what you do, there's a high chance you are not going to be seen. And this is very important in today's age. However, most people think that they need to have this large attention, they need to have this super influencer kind of attention, but that is further from the truth. Let me explain this to you, right? That any form of attention, right? Any form of attention is valid. And the main reason it's valid for you is that when you stand above the audience, above the crowd, people put you on a pedestal, regardless of the situation. And if you're a man watching this, whether it's a woman or a man, if you get to realize that it is the people who have the most attention that have the highest chance of finding a mate. So what that means is that this idea of attention spreads in all areas of life. Because why? It's in human nature to respect the people that stand out. But the problem is a lot of people are afraid to stand out. Why? Because if I stand out, what happens if I can't keep it up? We'll discuss that in this video. You ask yourself, if I stand out, what do I get to win? What do you get to lose? Because the honest truth is that there's a saying, there's a Chinese proverb, that the nail that stands out is the nail that gets hit first by the hammer. What that means is you're the one that will be attacked mostly. Now, you can discuss this later. But if you get to cut attention in a very nice way, you can use this to your utmost advantage. Now, one key aspect to getting attention, mind you, one thing I must say is that you don't need global attention. You don't need internet attention. Attention in your class is just enough, among your classmates, is just enough to give you power. And I've told you over and over again that it is better for you to be a big fish in a small pond than to be a small fish in a big pond. What does that mean? That if anywhere you find yourself, right, if you can appear to be larger than life, because whether you like it or not, power, right, this idea of power is a game of appearance, mostly, right? But I tell people, if you're my follower, I tell you that apart from you just appearing to be a certain way, you should be that certain way, right? Because at the end of the day, when people dig deep, because the moment you get attention, people want to investigate you. They want to know whether you are real or you are not. And if you are a fake, trust me, your reputation, your attention is going away. Yes, you might find a way to wiggle your way out of with the attention, right? But that reputation, because they go hand in hand. The moment you build a reputation, you get some sense of attention in any area of life. So just pick one area, pick one thing you want to be known for, which is your reputation, and look for how you can take it out of proportion. Let people know about you. Get yourself out there. And the honest truth is that before I started making videos, I had always criticized myself in my head over and over and over again. But you see that the more I create this content, the more I put myself out there and get to realize that I can see people who are out there similar to me, the better I get, the less I care about their attention, about the opinions of people who don't agree with me. When I see these days that it's the people, if you think about it, right, I think if you look at the Kardashians, the influencers, and realize that you still see people who are literally using them for things that they were not even built for, but just because they kind of think they need the audience of those people, they give them deals. Money flows their way, opportunity flows their way, favors flow their way. When they are regarding people for anything, it is the person with the attention. Because what I like to note, attention is a multiplier in any area of life, So you see this way, right? I think there was a time when if you had to make a choice between two people, right? I always tell people this thing on why you should be authentic. I'm going somewhere. If you're going to cut attention, try to pick your authentic nature, because some people, they think, okay, if I want to get attention, I should hide my authentic self. But let me tell you why you should be authentic. Or the more authentic you get, the better for you. Imagine you are a marketer, right? And you have to choose a basketballer for a particular shoe brand that you're a marketer for. Now you have the budget to hire the best basketballer, the number one basketballer. You have the funds to hire such a person, right? But if you look at the number 3 basketballer, number 3, he has a social media following of 10 million. Number 1 has a social media following of 1 million. Who would you go for? Magically, it's the guy with the 10 million you're going after, because there's a high chance he has the audience of that the 1 million still has, the exact same set, right? At the same time, he's doing something that is giving him that attention. And I saw a formula that says the skills you have multiplied by your attention is equal to your opportunity. That statement hit me very hard because I used to be this guy who's a Sigma grind set, Sigma, I work alone, I work alone, I work alone. I'll tell you something. Yes, there are periods in your life where working alone is a benefit, right? But by the time you get used to, by the time you get the scope of any work you're doing, it's best for you to find a team that is worth it. You be very careful with your team. So I say yes, this whole idea of Sigma mindset, it works for a period. But at some point, you should be very careful to not make it be your own island, your own prison. So yes, go out there. Any skill you have, multiply it by your attention. Any skill you have, even though it's just talking to people, being sociable. I've seen somebody who literally teaches people how to breathe. It's somewhere on YouTube, and if you think about it, how to breathe, I'm telling people that they don't breathe properly, and yet he's getting attention, and he's coaching people on how to breathe. That thing still gets me to today that any skill you have with attention will get you there. And that is why I basically do all of these things, because it's to put my message out there to tell men that men have to step up their game. That men literally need to become their best version of themselves or a better version of themselves for us to literally, because the world around us is in complete chaos. And I think this idea of, I think one thing people are afraid of is, okay, if I put myself out there, I'll be criticized. Yes, you'll be criticized. But the point is, the fact that you're criticized means that on the opposite side are people who like you just as much as people who hate you. You have to see people who get attention, but they walk on eggshells. Guess what? They fade in the background. And there's a very nice strategy for you, right, to not fade in the background. And it's simple. It's called evolution. That's the whole idea of everything. Anything that's not evolving is dying. So what that means is, if you get attention, right, and for some reasons, the people are getting bored of you, because whether I like it or not, if you're using the same tactics to get attention, at some point, people will get bored. That's why I see all of this, your social media gurus, they keep switching up the kind of content they drop. And it's a wise thing to do. And what is wiser is, after a couple of years, they begin to evolve their kind of content. That doesn't mean that they are fake. What that means is that they need to evolve. They need to get a different set of audience, because they in their journey, they are also evolving. They are also getting better. That's why you, at some point, you should never ever let yourself sleep. Yes, you might lose some people, but you will get more people. I'm going to give you a very realistic situation now, and it made me realize that why am I overthinking this whole thing of content and attention? There's a guy called Don Jazzy, Nigerian producer, and this guy, right, when I knew him when I was like much more younger, I knew him to be a producer or something, basically mixing music, sings a couple of times. But recent times, it feels like he has been making much more noise than he does before. He's beginning to join skits. He's beginning to feel like he's an influencer, and it turned me off. But then again, it made me realize that no, he's doing it for his brand. He realizes the potential of having attention of the people he's talking to. And guess what? He's not talking to me. So I should fuck off in that situation. Then it hits me hard that is why he's relevant. The people who he used to be with back in the days, nobody knows about them. Or we know about them, but more often than not, we forget about them. We only remember them when they come back to the spotlight. Was it Don Jazzy? He's been there for a very, very long time. Right? One other trick some people use, right, to stay in the attention span is to have a competition, to have an adversary, because that is very, very powerful. We'll discuss that later, because there are still more laws that will guide you on how to do this. It's a very, very powerful thing to use, right? And just again, society craves us, or as human beings, we like to be around people, or rather, society craves human beings who are above the regular standards, who are above average. The fact that we are above average in any field, right, should give you some level of attention. And like I said, it's better for you to be a big fish in a small pond than to be a small fish in a big pond. And one other thing to appreciate here is that if you ever see yourself in a situation where you do not have attention, because it's a strategy to get attention, begin to throw stones at people who already have the attention you want. But I must tell you something that it can backfire if you overdo it. If you overdo it, right? And at some point, I kind of believe in karma, though. That if you're trying to use that approach, it's best if it comes from a mission-driven approach, not an approach that I would say could completely ruin everything you plan. So what's a mission-driven approach? So for example, in Nigeria here, we literally have a lot of fake pastors saying a lot of rubbish, misleading a lot of people. Now I've asked myself, right, what should I go out there exposing these fake pastors? Now mind you, this is a very quick way of getting attention in my country. But I've asked myself, would I dedicate my entire life to what? Exposing fake pastors? Because I personally feel like I'm bigger than that. Will I still come and discuss about their stories? Yes, I would. But I don't feel like that's my purpose. Right? I don't feel like that's my mission. I will bring it up, but it's not what I think I want to get attention on. Will they give it to me? Yes. Will I want to do it? No, that's my personal mission. Because I want something that goes with me, that flows with what I can do in the long run. So you get my point here. That cast attention on people who already have the attention that you want. So if I was going against pastors, I'm very sure I have a community of people who are already against pastors. One, I also get the attention of the congregation members too. It's the exact same reason why some people drop a couple of jokes. A couple of people will like the joke. At the same time, a couple of people will hate the joke. And the irony is that the people who hate the joke get to spread the joke further. And there's somebody else in this country of Nigeria. His name is, he's biological male, just like a woman. This guy, I would say, he's a man, just like a woman. Although he wants people to address him as a woman. This person has made me realize that regardless of the amount of attention you get, even though it's negative, it's still good. What that means is there is no such thing as bad attention. No such thing as bad attention. It's only the only thing you want is what is the kind of attention you want. If you're an introvert, well, I don't know how having global attention might be for you, but always look down at your personality because there's somebody you'll be inspiring. To be very frank, I don't agree with him, but he's inspiring me to be as brave as possible. And between me and you, let me be vulnerable. I am still expanding how brave I can get. Still expanding it. Right. So anything you see me say now, I have other things to say, but I'm still processing them. That's why I don't script my videos. So slowly, the ideas begin to flow out. So that's it basically. Then also, when you evolve, one thing you realize is that people who can predict your action, they believe that they can control you. So if you have attention, one thing you should also have with your attention is unpredictability. Because that unpredictability or you not being predictable is also a way of cutting power. It's a way of people can't guess what you're doing next. So guess what? It's also a way of dragging attention towards you. If people can predict you, then all of a sudden your brand, your attention can begin to die a slow death. Why? People are bored. They already understand what is coming next. And maybe you have also wired them to know what is coming next. It's called habituation. Right? It's this whole idea that you can be in a room and the noise that used to be in the room is still making noise, but your brain tunes it out. It's the same way that people could have attention, but because they've been doing the same thing over and over again for years, their brain begins to remove that attention. So if you made it this far in this video, it shows that you are somebody who takes yourself very, very serious. You're somebody who sees the need to become powerful. And one thing I will say is that a lot of people read this book and miss the point. They believe that the book is to have power over other people. But more importantly, it is to have power over yourself. Because when you have power over yourself, it becomes easier to have power over other people. Having power over other people without having power over yourself is a recipe for disaster. And the more I go into this book series, the better I explain things to you. So if you have any ideas, any questions you want to ask, feel free to ask me in the comment section. I always go over them and let's have a conversation. But because you made it this far and you take yourself serious, I'll recommend that you share this video with somebody else who will take this video and look for a way to make themselves free, to give themselves exposure, the opportunity to work with other people, the opportunity to push their message out there, the opportunity or the mindset they need to get attention, the mindset they need to become much more powerful over themselves first. Share this video with them. Let's have like-minded people. Let's come together. Let's build a community. So thank you very much for staying this far. You're a real person, you take yourself serious, and you see the need to become powerful. Go out there and get your attention. Talk to you soon, and bye for now.